Well, hello there and welcome to the candy wallpapered upstairs hallway of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Just Elfers for November 7th, the day of discovery. That's right, ostensibly you discovering the channel there. But in any event, hey, here at the top of the page we have us a visual representation, if you like, of the day of discovery. And what is it? Boom! I don't know if you can really see, but it's an old-timey world map, and it's actually mirrored. So all the little words on there, like the Grand Ocean, that's what leads me to believe it's old-timey. Well, they were mirrored. They're backwards there. In any event, hey, is that an appropriate, what do you call it, representational image of the day of discovery? Well, on its face, it sounds like it, but hey, maybe we can make some connotations for a better understanding of why they chose that image as we get on with the reading. But it's not altogether all that important. No, it's not. Because in the scheme of things, it's November 7th, and it's someone's birthday today. So I would argue saying happy birthday to you is more important. That's right. So I just want to say happy birthday to you if it's your birthday. But if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, as is sometimes the case, well, I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the situation there. But for everybody else who's joining us randomly, or more ideally, to celebrate the November 7th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we get into the redirect, something I like to do around these here parts, this is the DykASSt birthday broadcast. So we'd like to roll some dice. That's right. Now, why do we roll dice, you might be wondering? Well, not just for the namesake, but also for synchronicity's sake. That's right. And we rolled us a 1 and a 2 for a 3. Now, what is synchronicity, you might be wondering? Well, it's just you getting out into this world and letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by getting a little bit of a mutually agreed upon signpost ready, if you like. Your numbers, that's right. You get out there and you look for these things as you're out there in your daily life. Or maybe it's your birthday and you want to get out and do something fun, so you just decide to get out into the world. Take a little walk if you like. It might be cold out, so button up for sure. And maybe get your own dice too. Set yourself some directional values to number sets. And also, you're going to roll these for time limits. To go by for how long you're going in these directions. That's right. But once some time limits are up and you reach the end of that direction you were going in, you look for your numbers. That's right. You look for signs, even if numbers aren't around. Maybe it's just in the middle of a field. I don't know. Maybe it's in the middle of a field. Let's go with that. So you're looking for your signs, and you know what? It's an empty field. Maybe a crow lands. Hey, that's all you got to look for. And it looks at you, and then it takes off in another direction. You know what? Go in that direction. That seems like a sign to me. It should be to you too. That's right. But hey, you know what? Maybe you reach a road, and then you know what? The car comes by, and maybe it's got a 2 in the license plate. That seems a little bit, common, I guess you could say. So maybe there's a 2 plastered on the hood. Maybe it's a race car going by. Hey, you know what? Go in that direction that it's going. I think you see the what do you call it? The pattern here, if you like. But we're in the middle of a field, so it's a little difficult for me to drum things up improvisationally. Hey, maybe you run into somebody, maybe someone pulls up to the side of the road, maybe that's it, and they ask you what you're doing. You're like, I'm just here in the middle of a field going off synchronicity. And they're like, what are you talking about? So maybe you show them this video, all right? And they're like, I can't believe it. You're doing this? And you're like, that's right, I am. It's my birthday. And they go, you're kidding. It's my birthday too. And you're like, whoa, hey, synchronicity. I know that seems a little outlandish, but things like that could happen. They could. We could have rolled us, a 7, but we didn't. You know what? Yesterday we rolled a 6, surprisingly. But you know what? Hey, I think you get the idea of what synchronicity is. Get out there, see, taste, touch, and feel the magic. The odds of you ending up in a field, hey, they're probably up there. I don't know, but the odds are something more interesting is going to happen for you. And I hope it does. And once you do see, taste, touch, and feel the magic, you'll understand why I brought it up. In any event, let's get on with your birthday read, all right? Your month is November. Your day is the 7th. Your sign is 14 to 16 degrees Scorpio of the Scorpio II period specifically. And your quality and element is fixed water. All right, November 7th, the day of discovery. Those born on November 7th are usually up for a new adventure. However, it is not just for kicks as far as they are concerned. The desire to explore, to investigate, and ultimately to discover is their principal drive in life. Whether on a modest personal level or a grand scale, they will bend all of their energies without compromise. November 7 people are curious about everything around them, particularly when it comes to learning the techniques of their craft or occupation. They love to take things apart and put them back together again, to find out how they work, and sometimes without having to receive instruction or read a book on the subject. In this respect, they are lifelong students, ever working to improve and ultimately to perfect what they do. But though November 7 people are open to experimentation and methods of trial and error, their standards can be very high, and they rarely give their full stamp of approval to an endeavor, whether their work or that of another, it says in parentheticals, unless it has been done absolutely 100%. And for this reason, they can be very difficult taskmasters. All right. Those born on this day do like to have fun, however, and indeed can be entertaining and charming. Unfortunately, they can sometimes mislead others, whether intentionally or not, for they only give their true affections to very few people. Woe is to any who mistake November 7 friendliness as a come-on. Particularly women born on this day often draw indelible boundaries around themselves past which it is dangerous to venture. Heartbreakers, it is a risky matter to fall in love with them. Both men and women born on November 7 are capable of ruthlessness in emotional matters and of severing their feelings when threatened or challenged to a power game. Yet for those who approach them honestly and openly, they have little resistance and in fact are quite gentle and affectionate. November 7 people are challenge-oriented. Therefore, they are liable to suffer when they get stuck in a regular job, a stagnant family life, or a redundant social routine. A large measure of their problems are self-created out of boredom and need for struggle. And those born on this day should therefore learn to set goals for themselves, personal goals which will advance them mentally and spiritually, and to have the self-discipline to work on them without admitting external distractions. Self-discovery, often ignored because of their outward direction in early life, should occupy a greater part of their time after the age of 35. One problem, however, is that November 7 people have a tendency to get lazy as they get older and dangerously complacent. The greatest peril in this respect is that their self-confidence may begin to sag and that they will begin having negative thoughts about themselves and their abilities. Thus, they may unconsciously become their own worst enemy. And more than with most people, it is crucial that they keep their spirits up and continue to see the world and their position in it positively. All right. Hey, how about that for a dynamic birthday? The day of discovery. All right. Hey, let's dive into some notes. I like to provide a little bit of a commentary on what we have gone over here. Provide, some kind of insight, perhaps. Just kind of talk about it. Anyway, you get the point. Let's get in onto the read with the notes here. November 7th, the day of discovery. You're usually game for new adventures, but not just for recreational purposes, all right? But to investigate and discover things, the likes of which I'm assuming you give a lot of energy to. Because I don't know exactly what bending your energy without compromise means exactly. And I find this to probably be the most novel reason to seek adventure, right? Most folks just do it vacation. They need to break up their work year, right? But you do it because it's your drive. So there you go. That said, the reading claims you're curious about everything, all right, which extends to your profession and just life in general, which is also admirable. All right, people without curiosity, they seem to just, it seems as though they're stagnating to some extent, or just going through the motions, even though they may be active individuals. It's just like something's kind of missing, right? It's like they need a kick in the pants. But if you try to do that, no dice, it ain't happening. That said, the reading claims you're lifelong students aiming for perfection, but open to experimentation despite being a taskmaster, all right? To which I can personally identify with to some extent. And I say some because I can only be so perfect considering the tools I have at my disposal and the constraints that I often work within. Let's see here. To which I have to force myself to be okay with imperfection and let things just ride, even though later I'm going to find them absolutely cringeworthy. But why even mention that? I don't know. Maybe you can take something from that. A lot of times they mention it here to be all right with imperfection, and so I just wanted to extend that to you. I'm working on it myself, so in any event, what else we got? That said, the reading claims you're fun, entertaining, as well as charming, but can mislead others considering you apparently only give your affections to a select number of people. All right, and to the extent that the reading refers to you as heartbreakers, all right, in this regard, as well as capable of ruthlessness in emotional matters and having the ability to sever feelings when pressed. But you are nonetheless gentle and affectionate in the right situations and with the right people. So that's important too. To which I'd say it's also an enviable ability to some extent to be able to just cut ties. I don't know how some people do it. You know what? The emotional ties, they run deep for some of us, all right? And some people, they're just gutted, non-functional. And you know what? I'm kind of in the middle there. You know what? I'm glad I'm able to pour myself out of bed in those situations. But for you, it's just another day, it sounds like. Hard to believe from someone in my position. But if that's the case, I admire that you're able to press on. Any event, the reading further examines the pitfalls of stagnation and growing older, right? And infuses a few suggestions to avoid such issues, the likes of which I found important to examine. It's good that they put that in there. And I'm assuming what's included, we got here, in the breakdown is true. Staying adventurous is a paramount facet to your personality. So it's important they put that in there, I'd say. And so knowing what may get in your way also is golden wisdom to have and hear. And hopefully before it's an issue. So in any event, that's what I'd say about your breakdown. So let's take us on in to your numbers and your planets. All right. Let me get the book adjusted here. Those born on the 7th day of the month are ruled by the number 7 and the watery planet Neptune, the planet of visions, dreams, and psychic phenomena. Indeed, November 7 people are prone to these unstable influences. A Neptune-Pluto connection, as Pluto rules Scorpio, indicates that those born on November 7 should assimilate but also transform the religious and family values they were taught as children and create their own individual philosophy of life. They must beware, however, of losing touch with reality in following their dreams and should avoid all dubious psychic and occult activities. Those ruled by the number 7 traditionally like change and travel, and this meets well with their need for exploration and discovery. All right, your numbers and planets. Highly personalized, I would argue. Sometimes it's not the case. All right, what do I have to say about your numbers and planets? Number 7 in Neptune for dreams and psychic phenomena as well as visions. The reading suggests synthesizing those things that influence you early in life with that which you discover later on in your adventures, I'm assuming. And then putting those into your life philosophy, which seems like the natural conclusion one might draw or come to, but a lot of times it ain't the case, now is it? Perhaps the ultimate goal of said adventures for you, who's to say? But this is probably the first time I've read this suggestion in the book, or they've considered this kind of thing. They've talked about synthesizing things, but not to that extent. So maybe it's notable to that. But also warns against losing touch with reality. All right. So I would argue the idea of balance. They didn't mention it yet. They might. It is a Scorpio period, and they keep drilling down on balance on all the previous days because there's certainly an kind of a dichotomy, if you like. Yeah, I think that's the right word. There's like a night and a day. You get your sunny Scorpios and you're down in the dumps ones, so to speak. I don't remember what they called those folks. So balance, because it seems like the dynamic extends to these different areas of people's lives also. So it's the seeming watchword for Scorpios and might be applicable here. As abandoning your dreams writ large would probably be ill advised, considering they are such an integral part of your personality, okay? But beware the occults to that end, they said, all right? And that actually is not the first time they've mentioned that in the book. At least the second, maybe the third. So even, hey, it's just a suggestion, maybe avoid the psychic and occult. I think ostensibly because you might be susceptible to a falling into their charms and the webs they weave, if you like. Yeah, that's that planet Neptune, probably. In any event, hey, that's been your numbers and your planets. So let's move on to your tarot. That's right, the tarot, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies. So you might want to stay away. I don't know if they define it as a cult, but it might be tricky endeavor there. In any event, we don't need to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards. And like I said, probably advisable you don't. But that doesn't mean we can't dive into it and see what it has to say. It is your birthday, so let's have some fun. Broaden our horizons. You're curious. You like new ideas. Let's do it. Seventh card, the major arcana, is the Chariot, which depicts a triumphant man moving through the world, manifesting his physical presence in a dynamic way. The card may be interpreted to mean that no matter how narrow or precarious the correct path, one must continue on. The good side of this card posits success, talent, and efficiency. The bad side suggests a dictatorial attitude and a poor sense of direction. Ooh, that's not good for you, Mr. and Mrs. Adventure. No, sir. Or ma'am. All right, what I have to say about your tarot here. The Chariot, moving through the world and manifesting the presence in a dynamic way. All right, for continuing on your path regardless the challenges. Yeah, I like it. Which I'd argue in no small extent informs much of what the breakdown had to say about you, all right? Just mind the poor sense of direction. That's not going to help you in your discovery, but you know what? Maybe that's something you like to do because it makes you discover things that you wouldn't have otherwise. Getting off that beaten path, right? But that said, avoid the complacency that comes with age and a job you stagnate in, all right? I know, they made it sound like early on in life, they had no worries at all. Maybe that's the case a lot of times, but then as life starts to happen, you fall into these things. And I didn't assume that'd be the case as I started the beginning of the read. So I was a little bit surprised when they mentioned it in the latter. So again, keep on your toes. Know it's important to you. All right, with that being said, that's been your tarot. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. November 7th people must beware of all ailments of the digestive, eliminative, and reproductive organs. Women born on this day should carefully monitor any ill effects of contraceptive devices or pills. Men born on this day must pay attention to chronic urethral and prostate symptoms. And November 7th people have a great love for food and not uncommonly become excellent cooks, experts on wine, and the like. Their curiosity prompts them to discover ever new culinary combinations, but they must take care to avoid weight problems and alcoholic addiction, particularly as they get older. And most November 7 people enjoy sex and physical exercise as well, and generally do not need to be encouraged to get out and walk or bike. All right, there's been your health. What I have to say about your health here. And here we continue on, as we do with many other Scorpio days, with concerns for the digestive and the eliminative systems. I'm assuming the urinary tract there. I'm not quite sure. Maybe I can't remember what it's called. The one with the lymphatic system there. I think that's something to do with it. In any event, however, specific to you, interestingly, however it's determined, is a concern for the reproductive system, all right? To the extent that women should be mindful of contraception devices and pills, and men, apparently, they get a pass outside barring any, I don't know, allergy to latex, ostensibly. So check your labels if that's the case, when you aren't caring for your urethra and your prostate. However that's done, all right? The book doesn't say, and I don't want to assume, all right? Carefully, though, I would reckon, all right? And with water-based lubricant, that's right. That said, you apparently make good cooks and have a love for food, but should be mindful of your diet to that extent. And if you aren't cooking for yourself, it might not apply. Let's see. Exercise of all sorts aren't hard for you, it said, to entertain either. Water-based lubricants notwithstanding. That's right. Now, and also I had to carry on the book over here since I ran out of space on the page. I wouldn't have minded the food and exercise coming in the top end of the health instead of them mentioning the urethra and prostate first. But you know what? I suppose it's just that important. So yeah, be mindful of your reproductive system. No other Scorpios have had that mentioned yet. I know I said that before, but I just wanted to reiterate. So in any event, that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice. All right, your advice. Think better of yourself and don't allow yourself to vegetate. Set personal goals and pursue them actively, it says, and avoid emotionally damaging situations and keep sexual impulses under control. Okay. How about that? Some of these things, I don't know. I didn't really get a read on that as we were going through the breakdown, but let's see what I had to say here. Again, I had to write it in the book. So think better of yourself. Hey, I didn't realize you didn't, okay? But maybe it applies to that hard time you might be giving yourself if you're stagnating at a job that you hate, when you would rather be out there discovering stuff. I could see that being the case. So yeah, set goals and pursue them if that happens to be a situation you find yourself in. Think better of yourself. You got this. And avoid emotionally damaging situations. Again, I'm assuming that's for other people because they said you benefit from being under control in that area. Always severing ties, having no problem with it. Who's to say? Maybe it's with those other folks who you do care about, right? What else do we have here? Avoid damaging. Wrote that one. See here. Sexual impulses under control. Again, another one I didn't really get a read on from the book there. And you've got a sensitive reproductive system there to consider. So, hey, be mindful. And they don't often mention STIs in the book, maybe 2 or 3 times before. So, yeah, urinary tract infections and all that stuff. Be mindful there. All right, hey, that's been your advice. So let's take the energy down just a hair and move on to your meditation. Oh, meditation. That's right. Let's get into it here. Predictive statements about oneself, so-called self-fulfilling prophecies, tend to, in fact, come true. Oh, they do now, huh? Interesting. All right. Once more, predictive statements about oneself, so-called self-fulfilling prophecies, tend to, in fact, come true. All right. Okay, that's your meditation. It's your birthday. I'm not going to try to throw some spin on it. That's just for you to consider. Don't want to influence it for you, all right? In any event, that's been your meditation. So let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. Let's hold up that objective mirror. Do some work. See what we see. All right. Hey, your strengths. You're curious. Hey, we knew that one. What else we got? You're adventuresome. Oh, we knew that one too. What else they got? Come on now. And you're technical. All right, maybe that's a little bit of that perfectionism there. Could be. But your weaknesses. Oh, let's do the real work. All right, make sure that mirror is clean. Got to get that objective mirror clean. Okay, your weaknesses. You're restless. You're difficult. And you're hurtful. Oh, I think that's that emotionally damaging aspect there. Hey, you know what? All those things, they can be improved upon if and you want to, if and you so desire. So yeah, restless, difficult, and hurtful for your weaknesses, and curious, adventuresome and technical for your strengths. All right. Now, with your strengths and weaknesses having been covered, let's move on to those born on this day. That's right. Let's see who shares your company. And with that, I'd like to append a little segue to it, something I find important, and that's figuring out our passions. That's right. It may be important to you, too, from the sounds of it. And why do I mention this? Well, I get out in the world, and all too often I meet folks, ask them what they do, more importantly, if they like it, and they don't. All right. And I think that just comes down to the very basic idea that they haven't had the time to put in the energy to figure out their passions. And you know what? You can't blame anybody, because there's just not a lot of time to do that when you have a regular job, ostensibly one you got right into after school, because it was the only thing available for you to be able to get the money, to keep the roof over your head, keep the bed sheets fresh on the weekends. And then when the weekend comes, you got to change them things. Hey, that's all you got time for, and outside of relaxing a little bit and getting ready for the next work week, right? Any event, you're not one that likes to stagnate either. So I figure this is the perfect opportunity, if and we don't necessarily know what our passions are, to think about it, to get into it and see who not only shares your company, but what they did with their ostensible passions, right? You know, like I said, it might not be their passions that got them famous, but hey, you know what? Maybe it was. But in any event, hey, hopefully it gets us thinking about it, stirs up the fires, if you like, and we can take some inspiration from it. I know it's a big ass tall order, but sometimes when we hear it, that mind virus gets in there. And that seems to me like a positive one. That's right. So let's get into it, all right? Those born on this day. We have Marie Curie, the Polish two-time Nobel Prize-winning physicist and chemist, only to win for both. Discovered radium and polonium with her husband, Pierre. We also have James Cook, the British captain navigator, and he was a South Sea explorer, and it says slain by Sandwich Islanders at age 50. Wow. We have Leon Trotsky, Russian revolutionary general, communist, assassinated in Mexico by a Stalin agent. We also have Albert Camus, a French Nobel Prize-winning existential essayist and philosopher, and is responsible for The Myth of Sisyphus. He was also a playwright, novelist of The Stranger. We also have Konrad Lorenz, an Austrian Nobel Prize-winning ethologist, animal behaviorist also. Billy Graham, evangelist, preacher to more people than anyone in history. How about that? Day of discovery. Sir, this one's going to get me here. Chandralaskara Venkata Raman. All right, an Indian Nobel Prize-winning physicist and changing wavelengths of light during diffusion. We also have Herman Mankiewicz, the screenwriter and co-writer of Citizen Kane. Joni Mitchell, the Canadian singer-songwriter. We also have Joan Sutherland, an Australian soprano. Johnny Rivers, blues guitarist, singer, and songwriter. We also have Al Hirt, jazz trumpeter and band leader. We also have Helen Suzman, South African anti-apartheid activist. We also have Herman Levy, or Levi perhaps, not quite sure, German-Jewish conductor and the first to conduct Wagner's Ring Cycle at Bayreuth. We have Dean Jagger, film actor. We also have Audrey McLaughlin, Canadian New Democratic Party leader. Herbert Blomstedt, Swedish conductor, San Francisco Symphony. We also have Jim Kaat, K-A-A-T, baseball pitcher, outstanding for hitting and outfielding, and fielding rather. Joe Nicaro, a baseball knuckleballing pitcher. And we finish off with Joe Bushkin, a jazz pianist and a trumpeter there. All right, hey. And that has been Those Born on This Day, which essentially rounds out your birthday read. That's right, except to say, your season is fall, your sign once again is Scorpio of the Scorpio II period. And your quality and elements is fixed water. And this has been November 7th, the day of discovery. From The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you want to dive in further with the zodiac signs. Every other birthday in the year there, even February 29th, Indian Summer Day, I think it was. Only comes every 4 years. Hey, it's all in here. It makes a great coffee table book. I've had people word of mouth pick this thing up. They love it. So it makes a great addition to your bookcase too. But in any event, if you have some company over, this thing's going to get the ice broken. You're going to get the conversation started for better or for worse. You can't beat that off with a stick, right? So to speak. Any event, hey, that's not important here. What's important here is, once again, wishing you a happy birthday. That's why I'm here, to wish you a happy birthday. But for everyone else who joined us to celebrate November 7th birthday, I just want to say, I hope you enjoyed yourselves and you come back for your birthday read. All right, so get out there, discover some stuff. Don't stagnate. Find a job you love, or even if you don't love it, keep yourself motivated to get out there and do what you love. That's right. That's my hope for you, all right, on this happiest birthday occasion. That's right. All right, folks, you take care of yourself. Oh, and lest we forget, your daily numbers there. Your 1 and your 2 for a 3. Get out there, let the universe show you it's with you on your path. And it sounds like something you might just very well get a lot of something out of. That's right. You like to seek new things, do exciting endeavors. I know my example, being out there in the middle of a field, that was probably the most boring one I ever came up with. So it's actually kind of ironic in that regard. In any event, hey, if you do get out there, see, taste, touch, feel the magic, I hope you do. I hope you do. But that said, once again, happy birthday. All right. You take care of yourselves.